Hello, YouTube. We're here. First episode of Story Time with the author. Hello, I'm Larry A. Davies. I've written two books to date. And my first book, if you can see it with the glare, The Hollow Walk. This is the book we'll be reading from for the next 40 odd episodes, 45 episodes. We'll be doing a chapter an episode, and I'll be reading it kind of like an audio book, but with a visual. And I may add insights into the writing process. I may talk about certain chapters, if they meant something special to me, or if I'm referencing something. I may act out a few parts for you. All of that is possible. Please follow and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them on the episode, and the next episode I'll answer them for you. We're going to do 2 or 3 of these a week, hopefully, and go right through the end to the end of the book. The Hollow Walk is available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, all the major retailers, book retailers. So if you want to read along, that would be great. I'm an independent author. I don't get I don't get any advance. So, I only make it on the back end, and believe me, it's peanuts on the back end. So anytime someone buys a book, it's really meaningful to me. And fortunately for me, The Hollow Walk's been selling pretty good since it was published in 2020. So it's been out 6 years now, and I decided to make it more available by doing this. Plus, you can watch my channel, get more exposed to me. My channel will be bringing back 2 Drink Minimum in a few months, as soon as Chan Man's ready to go. And then in the fall, October, November, we're going to do another scripted series like The Craft. It won't be The Craft season 2. It won't be that, but it'll be a scripted series, a really good concept idea that I've developed, and I'm actually excited to get it off the ground. So a lot of things happening for the channel, and I appreciate you being here and watching. But the time is the time, and let's get into the book. So we are starting with chapter 1. And with this book, I actually named the chapters. Publisher person I was talking with said, it'd be so much fun if you'd name the chapters. So I did. So chapter 1 is Mitch's Faltering Somaesthesia. Mitch Wagner, mid-40s, wakes up on the couch in the family room on the second Sunday morning in September. His sleeping on the family room couch has become his new regular routine for the previous 2 months, and now is his preferred space in the house. No one ever really invades his space or interacts with him after dinner, so he can watch TV in peace. Often falls asleep with the TV still on. He especially enjoys the solitude of the night before because everyone was gone for their respective Saturday night activities, and he was able to bring home and enjoy some beers while hanging out with his ally, the 60-inch flat-screen TV that's on its own stand up against the wall. Mitch fell asleep before he was able to dispose of the evidence of his alcohol indiscretion before Megan and the kids came home. Mitch opens his eyes and sees 5 dead soldiers standing at attention, staring up at him from the floor underneath the coffee table. He knew that he hadn't been caught because if Megan had seen the battlefield when she came home, it would not have been a pleasant experience. Mitch can hear her voice in his head. No alcohol in the house. Don't ever drink in front of the kids. Mitch is relieved that he had dodged the bullet of this major rule infraction because there would have been a heated discussion about the matter right there and then, and that would have ruined the nice relaxing buzz that he had going. Megan and Mitch are nearing 23 years together. They first met in a young adult Bible study, and through the weekly Bible study, they got to know each other and even started dating seriously. They dated for a little over a year and then married, as was the usual timeline for that Christian generation. After 23 years of marriage, They have 2 kids to show for it and nothing much in the way of material things in their rented middle-class house. Mitch gets off the couch wearing pajama pants and a tank top t-shirt. He does several stretches of his limbs and torso. He often has a sore lower back from sleeping on the couch that sits underneath a medium-sized frame of the poem Footprints. Once he's limbered up, he scoops up the soldiers and buries them in the bottom of the recycle bin while saluting them for their service and for especially not getting discovered behind enemy lines. Mitch continues through the single-story house, discovering it's empty. He already knew that Megan was getting a ride to church with Paul Jordan, the church's new worship leader and musical director, a high-profile emerging Christian musician / YouTube star. Megan informed Mitch the day before that she would need extra time this morning to prepare for a big debut at By His Grace Fellowship. In the previous July, Paul Jordan announced that he was holding auditions to find new talent for the main worship team that would be able to play large audiences both live and online around the world. Megan had worked up the nerve to try out and had had a successful audition with Paul. He immediately gave her a lot of encouragement and vocal training, telling her that she could sing at a larger level. So after 15 years of working at a part-time retail job, Megan quit to devote all her time and energy to her new calling in ministry. For the first time in her life, she was excited to be part of something that showed off her hidden artistic talents. The night she announced her new direction in her life, a huge argument had started between her and Mitch that resulted in the first night that Mitch had slept on the couch and was never to return back to their bedroom to sleep, only to get dressed in the morning. Mitch's only apparent annoyance to his new marital arrangement is that he often gets his dinner cooked by the microwave, usually some type of pre-made frozen pasta dinner out of a box. Alone in the kitchen when Megan's gone on most nights rehearsing. The new family dynamic has forced Mitch to pick up the financial slack, making him usually have to work a 6-day work week. They're still able to get by on one income, barely, while keeping Austin, 17, in his private Christian high school where he's a senior, where he just started his senior year. They help Haley, 20, with her books at the local community college, but they're living paycheck to paycheck. Mitch goes to begin the process of waking up his offspring. Both of them are pretty involved in the church's youth and college age groups, but getting them up on Sunday morning for the main service is still a chore that mostly goes to Mitch now. And this Sunday, all of them need to be in the sanctuary and seated up front before worship starts. To Mitch's surprise, both their bedroom doors are wide open and their beds are empty. Although the scene was unexpected, Mitch is relieved that he would not have to pry them from their pillows. They must have left with Megan, Mitch dismissively concludes, but was happy he won't have to share an uncomfortable car ride with Austin. Mitch hasn't realized that Haley's room hasn't been moved in a month. Mitch adores his daughter Haley, and she'll always be his baby girl, whom by her smile can always lighten up his mood, a perfect young woman that can do no wrong and has a great future ahead of her. But for the last couple of months, they haven't had many of their Saturday breakfasts together, something that Mitch really valued. Haley is spending less and less time around the house since she graduated high school a couple of years ago and started at the local community college. Mitch is comfortably unaware of Haley's new older boyfriend she's been spending most of her time with, or even the fact that she's rarely spent the night at home in the last couple of months. Most of his interaction lately with his son, Austin's, seems to be fueled by frustration and conflict. Mitch feels Megan is way too easy on him, especially when he refers to his major screw ups last summer as just a learning experience. The incident last summer was Austin got into a car accident totaled Mitch's car, putting a huge strain on Mitch's work, and he isn't ready to let Austin get past it yet. But the final straw of the divide was when school resumed in September. Austin abruptly told his football coaches and teammates that he was quitting football after 3 years. Austin wasn't the most talented player, but he was well liked and always played hard in practice and games. He was put on the varsity in his sophomore year, largely because of his heart and his great attitude. His coaches and teammates thought so highly of him that they voted him team captain for the upcoming senior season. But Austin announced his decision with his usual bright smile as he cleaned out his locker room without looking back. "Your coach called. Why are you quitting football?" Mitch barked at him as he stood in the doorway of Austin's room. Austin, laying on his bed, eyes closed, listening to music with his hands cupped in front of him, senses a shadow in his room, opens his eyes while taking out his earbuds, and gets hit with a glaring, unspoken disappointment surrounding him coming through Mitch's stare. Mitch meets his father's eye line and answers him with, "I'm just not interested in sports anymore, Dad." But Austin is left hanging, wanting to tell his father more, but stops when he sees Mitch's back walking down the hallway. Mitch didn't care or recognize the tone in Austin's voice that said there was something more to the story. Austin quitting football just added to Mitch's frustration and further confirmed that his son was just an over-pampered mama's boy who's going in the wrong direction in his life. That was with the other shorter conversations. Mitch never played sports in high school, didn't really care about sports, and never understand the passion that people had for the sports. But he was enjoying the experience of being seen as a supportive football parent. Him and Megan were making new friends with the other football booster parents and liked the feeling of extended community it provided. When Mitch went to the same high school, they weren't very competitive in sports, so no one in the school community really cared about going to the games. But Austin's previous 3 seasons, the football team had been pretty good, and they were fun to watch. Mitch's involvement gave off the image that he was really involved with his son and was a good father, and it really didn't require much effort on his part. Besides showing up for the school's version of Friday Night Lights, he would smile at everybody, make small talk about the offensive and defensive problems from the previous game, and once a season volunteered to work at the snack bar. Mitch had also been able to network and successfully make business contacts with the other Christian parent business owners that could use the services of his employer, One Voice. Flashback to 2 years ago, to Austin's first varsity football game as a sophomore. Midway through the fourth quarter, the quarterback throws Austin a high pass that was flying out of bounds through the back of the end zone. Austin jumps up higher than he'd ever jumped before and grabbed the football out of the air, landing inbounds and scoring his first touchdown. After the celebration with his teammates, Austin searched the stands to find Mitch to share the moment with him. He finds Mitch glad-handing and giving out his business cards to some of the other dads in the stands, and hadn't been paying attention to what was going on in the field, completely missing Austin's heroic game-winning catch. Another part of Mitch's unspoken frustration over Austin's sudden decision was that it would end their family time during the fall evenings. The previous 3 seasons, he, Megan, and Haley, and some of Haley's friends would meet for coffee. They would talk and laugh, and Mitch loved when he'd get Haley and her friends to laugh at his funny stories of his former glory days in high school. Then the kids would go off, and Megan and he would meet up with other parents for some pregame tailgating fellowship, then usually dinner afterwards with the football booster parents, and often the coaching staff and their wives would attend. Mitch always looked forward to the game. Mitch always looked forward to game day, which was always a valid excuse to leave work early on Fridays. But Mitch did resent all the intrusions that Austin's football career made on Mitch's preferred quiet home life during the week. Since Mitch woke up earlier than usual this morning to make sure him and the kids would have plenty of time to get ready and be at church early enough to get a seat up front, he now finds himself with a surplus of time this morning and a car which will give him freedom to make a stop before the church service. I wonder if Courtney's working this morning. A thought that motivates Mitch into the shower faster. After a quick shower, Mitch dresses in the usual casual modern church outfit of khaki pants and a blue polo shirt. He then spends the next 15 minutes trying to find his Bible to complete the look. He finds it under the coffee table in the family room, in the same place and condition he left it there last Sunday. Still with last week's bulletin stuffed inside the front cover. Mitch doesn't notice that light dust has gathered on the cover. The TV Guide magazine that was next to his word has gotten more attention over the last 7 days. And that is the end of chapter 1. Kind of gives a little bit of background and tells you kind of where Mitch is at, where his family's at, as now the story will start to unfold in the next few chapters. Let me know what you think. And I really appreciate you joining with me and going along with this ride. Episode 2 will be chapter 2 and so forth and so on. Leave your comments and questions. I will respond to them the next episode. Thanks for watching and have a great day. See you next time.